It's quite a privilege to host Superintendent Steve Murley in our first show this school year, the year 2016-17. We have been in the air for a long time. My name is Hani Al-Qadi. I'm one of the producers and a host of this program. And I represent a team, big team, that's working behind the curtains that you don't see on the, it's always my face, my hat and beard. But beyond that, there's John Karhoff and Mike Peterson, who started this program nearly a quarter of a century ago. So it has been a long trip, trying to serve the community through volunteering mainly, and with cooperation at various levels with the school district. Some administration welcomed us more than others. Some supported us more than others, but we are happy that we have one of the real supporters of our plans, Dr. Murley. We appreciate your coming tonight. It's a beautiful night in Iowa City, and I have a plan for you. I don't know. I put some talking points. If you like, I can first start with the first section, and I would like to discuss with you the growth of student population in our district, and with a little emphasis on the minority rate or percentage. And then I would like to, I have been reading about your vision about moving us to the 21st century and trying to get this business advanced model that's for scoring weighted resource allocations in order to prioritize and plan further for the future and so forth. And then the third point is about the transportation changes that are expected or are already there. And last, in the first section, is about the heat and air conditioning. That
Certainly.
A lot of parents wrote to me about it so that I can ask you this question. So let's start with growth of student population.
So that's one of the best things about being here in the greater Iowa City area is that we continue to grow. On average, we're growing 300 to 400 students a year, and we're in that phase right now where we're doing our official enrollment count, and that'll come out October 1st. But we know that we're up. We know that we're up substantially, and we'll definitely hit that number for this year. Looking back over the course of, this is my 7th year in the district, so looking back over the course of the previous 6 years, we are up over 1,500 students during that time frame. So that's a challenge for us, but it's certainly a wonderful opportunity. Our district continues to grow, not just in numbers, but as you indicated, our student population has changed substantially over the last decade. And while our minority population has gone up, I think one of the areas that people are perhaps not as familiar with is the change in our English language learner population. And our ELL population is up over 400% in the last decade. And what that means for our students is that many of them come to the classroom without the English skills that we know our children need to be successful academically. And so we've made some major changes in terms of where those students receive their education. They used to be bused from their home district, their home attendance area, to another school in order to receive their services. We've now put those satellite facilities at all of our secondary schools, and we're in the process of getting them at all of our elementary schools. So that means that students that would like to go to school with the kids that live in their neighborhood have the opportunity to continue to do that, but they still get those ELL services that are going to help them succeed academically. So one of the things that we talk a lot about internally as we look at that is the benefit that this provides to all children in the district. We think about our children today, and you think about the age they're at, you think about how old they're going to be when they get through high school and when they get through college. And I think that the population of students in Iowa City is a really great representation of the world at large. And so I think that provides a tremendous academic opportunity for all students in the district, because they're really learning in a global environment, which is what they're going to leave school, whether it's high school or college, and move into in the world of work. So a real advantage, I think, to being a student in the district here.
Now, when you think of your elementary schools, and in order to prioritize and plan and allocate resources and so forth, you have selected certain model, which is a very advanced scoring model that's used probably during the last maybe 3-4 years only. I mean, it's brand new, 21st century. So can you shed some light on this?
Sure. It's the process that we use to staff the buildings, whether it's certified staff or support staff, has traditionally been based on the number of children that are in the building. The size of the classes has been based on the number of kids in the building, and we've looked at it for kindergarten through 2nd grade and 3rd through 6th grade. Starting about 1.5 years ago, the board, we went through a strategic planning process with the board, members of the Iowa City Education Association, members of the administrative team, and as we talked about the 3 goal areas for the board, they honed in on literacy and math in particular from an academic standpoint, and they looked at how we would grow the academic achievement of all kids in the district. But in particular, there's a gap that we have between our highest achieving and our lowest achieving students, and the question was, how can we close that gap? And so one of the things that quickly became apparent as we were having that conversation was that we may need to look at an unequal distribution of resources in order to provide an equal opportunity for students in the classroom. And so we've had an 18-month ongoing conversation about that, and what it resulted in was a decision by the board last spring to allow us to go forward with a model that would base the allocation of resources of people, both teachers and support staff, on the need of the students in the building. I just mentioned English language learners. We look at that population of students. We also look at the number of students who qualify for special education services. And then the last group that we look at are students that are labeled as low socioeconomic status students. That does include students that are eligible for free and reduced lunch, but it includes other metrics beyond that. And looking at those 3, we are able to weight those and then assign resources into the school based on the number of children who are in those categories in the school. The intent behind that is to create smaller class sizes for those students who need the greatest access to opportunity and who may face additional barriers to learning. And so we put that in place this past spring as we were doing our staffing, and parents and students now see that when they're in the classroom. Probably one of the most visible manifestations of it is Alexander Elementary School is our newest elementary school, and if you drive by the south side of that building, you'll actually see 2 modular classrooms outside. And people say, how did this come to be? You know, you have a brand new school.
Their energy just got
right.
recognition.
You
today.
just built a new school, and now you've got modular facilities outside. Yeah. And the rationale behind that is we now have smaller classes in the school, and because of that, we need more classrooms, and so we've got these outside. But what we're already seeing, I've been out and in those schools, had a chance to visit the classrooms, talk to the teachers, talk to the students. We're already seeing a change in the environment, and that's the 3rd goal that the board has. But we want to make sure that regardless of where you live, you've got an equitable learning environment. That's the physical space in the classroom, but it's also then the social space in the classroom that students occupy and coexist in, and that allows them to take advantage of the teaching and learning that's taking place in the classroom. I spent a day at Kirkwood last week, and you can hear that. Kirkwood Elementary, yes, you can hear that, excuse me, from the staff members there. They see a difference in the collective tone and tenor in the building, and it's making a difference.
I didn't study management, but as a journalist, I have learned that this kind of value, let us say metrics, are quantitative.
Yes.
And they are mainly for what they call in management fixed budget portfolio structure. Can you explain this a little bit, because it's even difficult for me to understand.
Sure. So if you think about it, we're allocated a spending authority by the state, so we can't spend more than the state allows us to, and that means that we have to account for all of the needs inside the district within a fixed set of resources that we have available to us.
So this, you put this into consideration.
Yes.
That's what was
So-
one part of why you selected
Yes.
this model.
We don't have enough resources to do everything that we
Oh, I
want
see.
to, so we have to take what the state allows us,
Okay.
which is less than we need,
That's right.
and determine how to most effectively allocate that to meet the individual needs of each student in the school.
That's very prudent, definitely. Let's move because I don't want to run out of time. I want to talk about the transportation changes.
Big changes in transportation this year. So, and again, it goes back to that conversation about that fair and equal conversation. So the board went through a process last year. They had a study committee that included members of our student and family advocate team. We have SFA, student family advocates, in buildings throughout the district, and other staff members and some community members. And what they did is they took a look at students in schools, and in particular in neighborhoods in those schools for whom transportation would be a barrier to attendance. That is, if the district didn't provide transportation, there was a high likelihood that those students would not come to school. We know that if you're not in school, you're not learning. And so what they did is they looked at it, they prioritized all of those, and they provided busing to the students in the areas that had the greatest barriers to attendance at school. And so that created some major shifts in which students receive discretionary busing.
Right.
So if you're outside 2 miles at the elementary or outside 3 miles at the secondary, we're going to bus you. That's state law. Inside the 2 miles at the elementary level, we've now gone through this process to determine which students are most in need. The next step in that process is to do that with the secondary schools. We did have a learning curve that we went through this fall. And if you in particular think about our North Corridor schools, we've got multiple elementary and secondary schools between North Central, Junior High, and Penn Elementary. You've got Van Allen and Garner in between there. You've got a lot of parents moving back and forth on Front Street. And we continue to work to refine our pickup and drop-off processes to make sure that parents are spending as little time as possible waiting either to drop off kids or to pick them up after school.
Heat and air conditioning.
Heat and air conditioning. It has been
So
an interesting
parents
fall.
would be happy with
Yes.
me now. I raised that.
Yes, it's been an interesting fall. So our biggest challenge right now is that we are not 100% air conditioned. And at the low end, Longfellow Elementary School is only 13% air conditioned. For those parents who do have students that are at the high school level, they know that neither City High nor West High are 100% air conditioned. City High is about 40%. West High is about 40%. City High is about 60%. And so if you're up on the third floor or the second floor with some of the externally facing rooms that catch that sunshine, those buildings kind of heat up like a pizza oven. They're a brick oven in there, and they get warm and they stay warm. And so one of the things that we've done to make sure that we are accounting for the needs of those kids that are still in unair conditioned spaces is we've got monitors in the hottest rooms, and we actually went to the staff and said, please tell us what's the hottest room in your building, and we've got an external sensor in there. And that sensor allows us to collect both heat and humidity information. And then from that, we can get a heat index for the inside of the room.
Okay.
I think the challenge for parents is that they see the heat index outside, and the heat index inside may be significantly
reflect.
higher.
Yeah, right.
May be significantly higher. So within 3 years, we're going to have all of our elementary spaces air conditioned. And at that point in time, we'll take a look at how we dismiss kids at the secondary level and consider whether there might be some other alternatives such that we're not having as many early outs for the elementary students.
It's so intriguing to pass through Iowa City and North Liberty and Corbin and see the construction everywhere and
Yes.
the additions and all that. And I would like you to focus this evening on Liberty and the new Hoover.
Sure.
If possible.
Sure, and I'll add one more brief one because I'll
Yeah.
just touch base on Lucas also. So
Okay.
it's always a balance between the new and the old for us. And in the new, the Hoover Elementary School out on American Legion Road is actually ahead of schedule right now. Just knock on wood for that. We're ahead of schedule right now, which is great. We'll have building enclosed. We'll be working in it over the course of the winter. And then come next spring, we'll be finishing up there. We'll take possession of that building over the summer next year. And following that, we'll move the students from the current Longfellow Elementary School in there next fall so that we can get in to Longfellow and do a
start.
renovation and do some additions on Longfellow, which is great because the following year, is Longfellow's 100th birthday. So we plan to
It's
celebrate.
a beautiful building.
It is. We
yeah.
plan to celebrate the birthday of Longfellow with the reopening.
1917 it was
Yes,
born.
and bringing those kids
Yeah.
back, and so that's going to be a real treat for us. Liberty High School on schedule, under budget right now. It's looking fantastic. We hope to have some. We just got some aerial footage that we had taken over the school from create several panoramics, so we hope to have those up and visible for the public shortly. But things are really moving along very quickly there. Next step is to get the kids registered and scheduled so that we can get it staffed and ready to go. But it's looking really good. And then, like I said, last but not least, we balanced the old and the new. Lucas Elementary School is currently undergoing a renovation. I was just over there, and not unlike Penn and Twain have as we've gone through them before in Coralville Central, but you walk through and all you see are the trays of wiring in the ceiling, and if you get back into the area where they're working right now, it doesn't look like a school anymore because it's all torn apart. But come next fall, the Lucas students and parents and staff will move back into a completely renovated facility, so we're really looking forward to that.
Super. I hope I have time for you to touch upon the teaching and learning curriculum instruction area and tell me something about the state initiative of literacy. And maybe we can join this with the technology initiative too.
Certainly. So ELI, or the Early Literacy Initiative, is something that's come to us from the Department of Education. And they are asking us to measure students' reading proficiency. And if they find that students are falling below their benchmark, where they're expected to be at the end of third grade, then there's a requirement to retain them. That was actually supposed to go into effect last year. However, it wasn't funded by the state legislature, and so there was a delay put in for a year. We've heard through some recent conversations that are taking place in Des Moines that the program may not be funded again this year. One of the things that's important to recognize is even though that isn't being funded by the state, it's not moving forward from the Department of Ed standpoint just yet because of that issue. We continue to work on that. We continue to have a summer program, and we've had it for many years now, and the students who are in there are making great progress, and so we continue to see a benefit for those kids that have that greatest gap in their literacy skills. So still working very hard on that. You mentioned, when you think about some of the initiatives that are going on, you mentioned our technology initiative.
Yes.
So students at the junior high and high school levels are very excited because we are moving into a one-to-one environment with them. And for those of you familiar with technology platforms, we're using a Google Chromebook for this. And one of the exciting things that happened just before the start of the school year was we had about 300 teachers out at the Kirkwood Regional Center where we did a Google Summit. Helping them understand what they need to do in order to make those make that Google platform really useful to the kids in the classroom. So I know the students are really excited about it. Our teachers are definitely challenged and ready to go. And I think it's going to make for a great opportunity for our students as they look to transition from more paper and pencil to more technology. And a really exciting time to be in the classroom right now.
I have time for some news about the regional center.
Sure.
Kirkwood.
Sure. So we've doubled our enrollment out there. We have access to 19 different academies that are taught through the either the Kirkwood Community College or the University of Iowa, or some collaboration between the two of them. And so we've got kids out there, about 300 students out there taking academy credits. Those students earn double or triple transcripted credit, so they're getting both their high school credit and some higher education credit that they can carry on with them when they move to their next higher education stop after they graduate. The students, now that we have kids out there, they're better salespeople than just an idea. So last year, we got 150 brave souls to sign up when all we had were pictures to show them. This year, those 150 kids went back, told their friends, and so now we've got 300 students signed up out there. And we're confident that as we move forward and students and their parents become more familiar with the programs out there, we're going to continue to grow our enrollment out there.
When we had Miss Carmen Dixon here last, I think maybe May, I did ask her about a place in the regional center for the special ed kids. Is there a promise in this area, because with all this vocational training and all that
We serve all students out there,
Right.
and I think that some people may misconstrue the purpose of the programs out there. We certainly have computer science programs out there, but we also have pre-law, pre-medicine, pre-education, so people that are looking to go into those areas. We've got virtual welding out there, we've got automotive technology out there, so there are many, many areas for students to explore. We have a loop bus that takes students to and from the campus, and not only does it stop at City and West, but it also stops at Tate High School, and I'm not sure everybody knows that too. So the intent really is to provide access to students so that they have the opportunity to take courses in an area that they might be interested in. They may find out that they're not, but what a great opportunity to do that while they're still in high school.
Mr. Murley, this is very impressive.
Thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure to be
and
here.
I would like you to look at the camera here and talk to the people about anything that we have missed or anything we overlooked.
We are in a great place in the district, and I think one of the biggest challenges that we have moving forward is to continue to improve on the learning environments that we have promised to the students and the staff and the community here. So one of the big challenges that we're going to have over the course of the next year is to develop the plan and then secure passage of our general obligation bond. So I know that you've graciously invited me to come back onto the show later this spring, and I will definitely take advantage of that, and
We will.
we'll have more opportunity to go in
We
depth.
will nag and keep nagging.
But it's really a historic opportunity for the district to set ourselves up not only now, but moving forward for decades to come. And when you think about the legacy that creates for the community as a whole, I feel very privileged and honored to be a part of that, and to see that impact is really one of the things that keeps me moving.
One of the things that I will take a couple minutes asking you about, and I know that was not planned here, but it is about your ability to modify and change the team of leadership, and this takes a lot of courage and stamina, because sometimes people work with other people and okay, let us complete the trip till the end, but you have the ability to say, well, that's okay for you now, I'm going to get somebody else. How do you do this?
Well, one of the things that we tell our new teachers, so we had 88 new teachers that show up at the beginning of the year. One of the things we tell them is that Iowa City is a destination district. So we certainly have our fair share of teachers that are coming right out of college and moving in, but we also get a lot that come here in the middle of their career because they want to come to Iowa City and they want to teach in our schools. And it's the same thing with our administrative team. We get some folks that are new to administration, but we also get a lot of administrators who've honed their skills and developed capabilities away from Iowa City. And they reach a point in their career where the challenge of being in the 5th largest district has an appeal to them. And because of that, we're able to attract some really fine talent to the district. And so as we go through the interview process, one of the things that we're always looking at is, here's the position that we've advertised for, and here are the pool of people that we have that we can consider for that. And what are the unique skill sets that they bring, which may be above and beyond that which we've put into the job description. And so as we go through the process of bringing new people into the team, we spend a lot of time assessing where their talents and skills lie, and look for those areas that we can really exploit and for the benefit of students and staff in the district. And so because that our administrative team as a whole carries that mindset, it gives that growth mindset gives us the opportunity to refine people's areas of roles and responsibilities and their job descriptions so we can really play to their strengths. And I think by doing that, we get the most out of the team. They have an incredible amount of satisfaction working on behalf of the students and staff in the district. And then I think collectively as a whole, it allows our district to grow further and faster.
And you have, as a matter of fact, employed a lot of young people in leadership position, a lot of women, a lot of minorities, and that's a remarkable. You don't talk about this. Well, I wish you can talk more about it.
Well, our goal is to really make sure, when we look at our staffing model in particular, I told you that the benefit of going to school here in the district is that your classmates and your school looks like the future.
Yeah.
And so it's not going to be a surprise for our kids when they come out of high school and move on to the world of post-secondary education and move on into the world of work, because that's the world that they live in. And what we want to do is, to the extent possible, we would like to see our staff carry that same reflection. So whether it's our support staff, our certified staff, our administrative staff, our goal is to try to mirror the population of the students, because we know that we serve as role models for our kids. And we want to make sure that we have role models in front of our students that really set them up to set very high aspirational goals for themselves. So we want them to see themselves in us.
I cannot thank you enough for this privilege. And to our viewers, our program will be aired on Channel 18, Channel 21, as well as the website of Public Access TV. Before I say goodbye to you, because I have, I think, 1 or 2 minutes, I want to tell me about your kids.
Sure.
This, because a lot of people say, oh, you ask him a lot of scientific questions and professional, but I want to ask you about your kids.
Sure. It's a big year for us in our household. My middle son graduates from high school this year, so I spent a lot of time this fall watching cross-country meets all over the state. We've got about a month to go in the season.
And you are a coach, right?
No, I'm just an observer.
But you were, right?
I was a coach,
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Yep. So I can look at it from that standpoint. But now I just get to be a spectator, which is a lot of fun. So he's getting ready to graduate here, and big choices about where to go to school. And he's interested in studying computer engineering. So we've got a couple of great choices here in the state, very highly regarded programs. So looking very strongly at those. For the first time now, I only have children in high school because my youngest one's a freshman, and he's busy playing soccer this fall. So I, again, have spent lots of time driving around the state watching soccer games on the weekends, and they're both really enjoying school. I told people when I first came here, it certainly was a professional opportunity for me, a growth opportunity and a challenge. But it's also a personal opportunity for me because when you have kids in the system, you spend a lot of time researching quality and understanding the opportunities it brings to your kids. And so for us, it's been a great move, and my kids are just doing fantastically well under the tutelage of our staff.
Thank you very much. And this was a great chance to begin our journey this year, starting with your show.
Well, we thank you, and we thank your team, and it's a great opportunity for us to showcase the good things going on in the district.
And
so
I
we
would like
appreciate
to
that.
seize the chance to thank the people of Public Access TV who
Yes.
are here, because they are offering us every possible help. And they are a very nice new team.
Yes.
And they are all young, energetic, talented, gifted people. So I would like to thank you for your cooperation with John Karhoff, Michael, and me, as well as to thank the people who are helping us in this wonderful studio.
I thank you very much for the opportunity again to showcase
And you
all
promise
the
to
great
come
things
again.
going on. Oh, I do.
Okay.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.